feel like I'm talking to myself. It's kind of late. Don't really care. I am obviously driving down the road, and when I drive, sometimes I'll just like listen. I'll listen to YouTube. Sometimes I'll listen to music. It just depends on what kind of mood I'm in or how I'm trying to pass time while driving. And the video from Gays and Gizmos came up about the silencer code. Groups and a person who filed a lawsuit against the Department of Justice, I guess to the federal government about the NFA, because there's no tax on short barrel rifles, any other weapons, suppressors, and I feel like I'm missing one. Doesn't matter. They filed a lawsuit saying, okay, now these things have to come off the registry, which historically is true. The NFA, they only was able to pass it because it wasn't a registration. It was a way to verify who had paid the tax, right? Not even, there's all kinds of issues with this. The main issue is the same shit I've been saying for the last decade. Not decade, just a decade. 99.999% of this country has no idea what our Constitution is, much less what it says or what it even really fucking means. And almost 100% of the population has no clue that they have a duty to enforce it. What does that mean? Well, the ideal is that, Thomas Jefferson wrote in a letter to, can't think right now. It was in 1829, right around the time, right before he died. And in it was a quote, and the quote was, "The Supreme Court, being the sole arbiter of all things constitutional, is a dangerous doctrine and will lead to despotism." Why did he say that? Well, think back to the other quotes from him. When government fears the people, there's liberty. When people fear the government, there's tyranny. Now tell me, patriots, why would the government fear your ass today when all you're going to do is file a fucking lawsuit if you got $250,000 to do it or more to run through the federal system because it's so convoluted and screwed up that you can't navigate it yourself with 10 of your highest IQ buddies? Why is the government going to fear you? They're just going to steal money from other people, then spend that money in those courts to then fight against you. I don't think they fear that. I mean, it's kind of not my definition of fear. I know I have a pretty high threshold when it comes to what Nick's definition of fear is. My fear is like, I might die and never see my kids if I do this shit. I would constitute that as a fear. The part about not seeing my kids, not the dying part, but the part about seeing my kids. But to most people, dying is a fear. Being hung in the town square is a fear. Being hung by their ankles from a bridge is a fucking fear. And I'm not suggesting that anybody does this or breaks the law or commits any violent acts or no shit like that. I just want to get into something straight. There's no patriots that exist in this country today. And the ones that have existed, you idiots called fucking criminals and applauded like seals at the circus when the pigs in blue shot them down. A revolution was fought over a 3% excise tax. No, what do you mean excise tax? A 3% tax on tea. And the threat of confiscation of weapons. An unsound monetary system, but that's left out of history. So we don't want to talk about that. You're taxed at over 60% in total today. 60% of your income goes to some form of fucking tax. You were taxed 10 ways a Sunday. Buy a car, pay a tax. Sell the car, pay a tax. Sell it a third time, gets another tax on it. How many times do you tax the same shit? They will tax the same shit over and over again. I mean, they literally do it with fuel. Carbon credits. That's the thing. Company coal burning electric plant burns so much coal, it's got to then buy so many carbon credits to make up for that. So they're paying for the fuel, but they're paying for the carbon it puts out. Why? Because government owns the air. And I've explained it like this before too. They've done this thing where the law equals morality, right? So legal versus not legal equals good versus not good, and that's just not the way it is. Over 99% of the laws in this country are completely unconstitutional. Any law that taxes you, unconstitutional. The founders be rolling in their fucking graves. Yet you fucks have the gall to call yourself patriots. Why? Because you have 770,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. Therefore, everybody thinks you're a patriot. Therefore, you call yourself patriots. It just means you got 770,000 fucking idiots that don't know any better than you do. And if you haven't figured it out by now, Fed Jared, I think he's a Fed, but whatever. If you speak the truth, they don't let you grow. They don't want people who say truthful things growing. They don't want them being monetized. They don't want their message getting out there. It's just a fact. We all know this. Jared says, well, you can't even see my video unless you punch my name into the thing. I'm a shadow ban. Bullshit, because I didn't punch. Listen, I don't like you, man. I assure you, I did not punch your gays and gizmos or Guns and Gadgets Second Amendment News, aka gays and gizmos, into my search bar as I was driving 80 fucking miles an hour down the road. Didn't happen. Guess what? Your shit just popped up. But you're a patriot. Telling all kinds of lies, but you're a patriot. I know somebody's going to say, there's always that guy. Well, you're not doing nothing either. Well, guess what? I'm also smart enough to know that if I call myself a patriot, I'd have to do some patriot shit. Like, how many ongoing years do I have to say the same bullshit over and over and over? And guess what? It ain't got any better. The last 10 years, in fact, life's got dramatically worse. Oh, they took the $200 tax off the suppressors and AOW, the short barrel rifles. Yay! They fed you crumbs and you clapped like seals. Well, all gun control laws are unconstitutional. But they'll say that, and then they'll be like, then they'll talk about, the guys in Chicago with switches in a negative manner. But wait a second, I thought all gun laws were unconstitutional. It's fucking ridiculous. It's more than ridiculous. And how long do you play the game? Most people, I'm not saying all people, but the majority of people out there, when they wind up banning, quote unquote assault rifles, and they will. It's eventually going to happen. Probably not in our lifetime, but it'll be real easy for it to happen in my children's lifetime, because they have no idea. My kids know what rights are, but your kids probably don't, because you don't fucking know what they are. You think that if you go to prison or you go to jail, you lose your rights. No, you don't. If you lost your rights, you wouldn't have a right to an attorney. You wouldn't have the right to be free from unusual punishment. You would have the right to practice your religion. You don't lose that shit when you go to jail. No, but you lose your right to keep and bear arms. No, it's not that you lose your right to keep and bear arms. It's you're too fucking stupid to understand what's going on in that situation. You lose the liberty to utilize your property. The right remains forever. Why? Because it's a natural right. Now, with that said, there's a difference in constitutional rights and natural rights. Constitutional right. Right to jury trial. That's a constitutional right. Right to an attorney, constitutional right. The right to keep and bear arms, that is a natural right. Nobody can tell anybody what they have the right to defend their family with or how. And the truth of it is that they don't want you having the shit that they have, because most of them have it. You have these little hole-in-the-wall, sheriff's departments with, 5 cops. They got full autos with suppressors on them. Why? Because they stole the money from you. Like where I'm getting ready to drive through right now on 40. Guarantee I'm going to pass these pigs. They're doing interstate, it's called Interstate Interdiction Task Force. I've driven by them, so I've been making this trip at least once a month for the last 5 years, 4 years. I've literally driven by these fuckers hundreds of times. They don't pull me over. You know why? Because I drive pieces of shit. I drive an 02 F-250 or a 04 Impala or a 97 Civic. No. Every time you see them got somebody pulled over, they're in a nice ride. Why? Because their goal is to take that ride. They hope you have some cash in the trunk. Why? Because then it goes into their little pot. They send it to the feds, so you got to spend more than they took so you can get it back. So then you're going to try to get it back. And then 80% of that money comes back to the Fed, back to the municipality or the sheriff's department or whatever that stole it from you. We've all been scammed at this point. It's one huge scam. And every 4 years, the Patriots are, vote for Donald Trump or vote for this person or vote for that person. You idiots. Your voting is why we are here. Like, how many more election selection cycles is it going to take for you to figure that out? We're literally where we're at because you continue to vote. Because you continue to buy into the system. Now you look around you, certain things you can only do if you buy into the system. Why is that? Why is it you can only be on a federal jury if you're registered to vote? Why is that? The census knows you exist. I mean, your driver's license, if you got a driver's license, most of us do, I do. Why? Because I can't afford to keep getting my shit out of inbound and bottom myself out of jail. And you can't, it's a fight that you just can't win, unfortunately. Even though you have the right to travel, and you pay for the road, and you pay for the vehicle, and you pay for the fuel, and you pay for the maintenance. Oh, no. That's not enough. They want you to register your vehicle. Why? So they can throw up flock cameras. And then have a third party throw up flock cameras. Then they buy that data from that third party. They say, oh, the government's not violating your rights because we don't directly put a GPS in your ass. Flock has a GPS in your ass. And then we buy the information that they get from your ass from Flock, therefore unconstitutional. You're fighting a system you cannot beat. You can't beat it. You can't win. You're never going to win. They might give you some crumbs on occasion, but as long as you sit around and say, yeah, I'm a patriot, buy this shirt, link down below, ain't shit ever going to happen. Not anything good anyway. And what's crazy about all of it is, like, nobody talks about the shit that matters. Like, for instance, we're $39 trillion, our country, not we, because I didn't spend that fucking money. I didn't give that money away. I didn't overspend. If my account's in the negative $1, I can't give away $5,000 to somebody if they need it. Not how it works in the real world. But if you're government, you can go in debt every year. I mean, 240 years, and they haven't put a cap on their spending where they say, no, look, balanced budget, period. If once we hit that number, everything else goes. I was talking to a buddy today, like, how do we fix this? There's only one way to fix it. You literally shut down everything in the federal government that's unconstitutional. So all the 3-letter agencies got to go. Homeland Security, bye. TSA, bye. DEA, bye. FBI, see ya. CIA, gone. Air Force 1 and 2, gone. Presidential limo, see ya. All the salaries, gone. And then maybe if people keep paying the income tax like idiots, maybe, in 50 or 60 years, we might have that debt paid off. It's never going to get paid off. $39 trillion in debt. That's not counting the almost $250 trillion in unfunded liabilities, meaning that your money was stolen, you were promised something for that money, they owe you for that money. That's almost $250 trillion in loans. It's almost $300 trillion in debt. Why do they not care? Because they're getting rich off of it. Let's look at the president. This goes for all government, like state level and above. They literally have zero risk going in. They are funded by somebody who doesn't want to be the face, but wants to have the power, right? And then hundreds of millions of dollars in the presidency. If you got 300 million, 250 million, no chance of you winning. Pays $400,000 a year. Why would somebody want that job? Oh, because number one, they don't put enough of the money to begin with. Number two, because it's not about the money, it's about the power. And your great savior, Trump getting in charge, who is make Israel first again, the one that all these patriots, with quotation marks, demanded that you voted for, told you that if you don't vote for him, you're a commie. They push these people, and then, look at what Trump has done. He ain't got to worry about getting elected again. He don't need you to like him. So what does he do? Whatever he wants. He can write an executive order saying you get a year in prison if you buy this flag that's made in China that has a certain, certain colors and a certain arrangement on it that you paid for. He can ban speaking out about a certain group, we'll say, like public college campuses. Multiple, he did that twice. He's wrote that one twice, yeah. But he can't get a hold of his Department of Justice and say, look, fuckers, this shit ain't going down. Why? Look at the bump stock ban. Well, the NRA said it was meaningless, and I just went with them on it. What does that mean? That means the fucker has no clue what rights are. And honestly, again, none of you all do either. I mean, a few people who watch this channel do. Probably didn't before I explained it. Some people. Some people I did. The one dude that I know for a fact did, he died. David. Well, like when though, man? It'd be like me calling myself a billionaire every day, and every day I just get more and more. It's like I can barely buy groceries, can barely, pay insurance, can barely pay land payments, can barely do anything, scraping by. Not the president. He's having fucking ice cream floating in from France. On your dime, of course. Like, it's just insanity to me anymore. It's absolutely insane that the majority of the population, and it doesn't matter which side you're on, you're all the same. Left, right, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, you're all the fucking same. All of you. You have to remember, I'm outside the box looking in. Right? You're literally all the same. But you can't tell them that. I got a buddy. Well, I don't even want to say buddy. An acquaintance, right? This dude would fucking drop to his knees and suck Trump's dick if he had the chance. No shit. I swear to God he would. He'd at least give him a hand job. Yet knows literally nothing about the shit he says. Posted some stupid shit to Facebook the other day. This is no different than the dudes calling themselves Patriots. It says something about Biden's shutdowns, Biden's vaccine Biden's mask mandates, Biden. I'm like, hey, dude, I don't know how long your memory is, how good of a memory you got. I kind of remember all that shit happening under Trump. And there's video evidence to prove it on my YouTube channel if you'd like to go look at it. Of course, he didn't go look at it because he knows everything. It's like Patriots do. We just, as male adults, we just think we know everything. Can't be taught shit. Even what I point out. So the other day, I was talking to a buddy of mine. He falls under the federal umbrella for something, for weapons or disability. And I'm like, look, dude. So before you read this, understand this. The Constitution is your personal restrictions on government. You have to really understand what that means. And I said, now, read Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, and tell me what you get out of that. And he read it, and he said, wait a second. How does Congress pass these laws that they can enforce in Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, California? I'm like, because you believe they can. It's construct of belief. And then once you believe they could, not necessarily you, but your great-great-grandparents or whoever, they built up a force to enforce those laws. And if you fight that force, you die. It's the or else system. That's where we really live at. Land of the or else's. And at some point, if you want to be a patriot, you're going to kind of have to say, or else is better than doing what you're telling me to do. I don't know. I want to leave this one up. I've had a short conversation with Gizmos and email before and pointed out some of these things. Of course, he's too stupid to understand it. His buddy John over at, what was that one dude's name? Cuddle Boy 32, yeah. I got that dude's phone number and tried to get him to call Gays and Gizmos and talk some sense into him. But he won't do it. Why? Because he don't have any fucking sense. I clearly explained to him multiple times what rights are. Still no clue. Why? Because he buys into what the herd believes. The sheep. The flock. And they will continue to do it. They will continue to run this country in the ground until there is nothing left for our children. And then it's going to... Well, if would you have rather had camel toe in office? It wouldn't have mattered. All they were is a face. That's it. Awfully odd that old Joe Biden supported Israel, and so did Trump. Thought you all didn't like the same shit. I don't know. I gotta go. Thanks for letting me, man. You know what? Send this to Gays and Gizmos. And let him know, you're not a patriot, dude. You're just the opposite. You're a fucking kingsman, a coward, and a piece of shit fed for pushing all these people to think that they're a patriot because they say so. I can say I'm a fucking astronaut. The shit don't make a sound until my ass goes into space.